And the McCART IFL TV. Delighted as always. It's been a while, Mr. Josh Taylor, but I'm always delighted to be joined by my good friend Josh Taylor. Josh, I spoke to you before we pushed record there. I said that is I can only see a little bit of your man cave, but that looks like a proper man cave. You've done it right.
Yeah, it's good. It's looking well, Andy. It's looking nice. I'm just hanging up a picture of Ken Buchanan and that, and then putting wee bits of memorabilia and that up. So I'm just doing wee bits of that today. Keep myself busy, you know what I mean? On the weekend, I got away running today, but the weather's shite up here this morning, so I've just got to take the easy today.
Aye, well, the weather's shite here. I'm through the West Coast now, Josh, because I texted you this morning. You said you want to do it face to face. I'm like, well, I'm in Glasgow now, Josh, and you're the other side of Edinburgh, so it's going to take me about an hour and a half to get to you. But Zoom calls are all right. But listen, I want to talk to you because you're making a lot of noise, and you've not even got a fight lined up. You've not even got a date or anything like that. But you are seem to be making a lot of noise in the boxing world. Before we talk about that, I do want to talk about last night and Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou. Now, I'm guessing you were probably in the same boat as me and thought that Tyson would breeze this fight, maybe even stop Ngannou maybe in the middle of rounds. And just your initial thoughts on last night.
Well, the first thing that came to mind was like the master of disaster, Apollo Creed versus the Italian stallion Rocky Balboa in Rocky 1. Do you know what I mean? That like just the first thing that came to my mind was like, that's exactly what that's been like. And he was, let's just say, unlucky not to get the win, but that's all right. It's just a bad performance. It's the British heavyweight champion of the world, so where's that carpet? Just brush it underneath there. You know what I mean? And no make a fuss about it because we don't get the Usyk fight then. Do you know what I mean? So, but no, I thought that Tyson was obviously. He wasn't focused, you know. A fully focused and a fully turned on and tuned in Tyson destroys Ngannou. You know what I mean? He's too quick, he's too powerful, he's too sharp, he's too fast. But that's the power of underestimating your opponent and taking your eye off the ball. That's what it does to you, and that's how it end up being a really tough night for him, and it ended up being a really surprising night for him.
I'm glad you said that because you have admitted that you've took your eye off the ball in the Jack Catterall fight. Now, there's always going to be talking about you and Jack Catterall, but you know the power of taking your eye off the ball because when that Jack Catterall fight was made, all the questions was moving up. Even I was guilty of it, asking you about Terence Crawford, asking you about an Errol Spence and moving up to become a two-weight world champion. So you admittedly yourself took your eye off the ball. And maybe Tyson done that because they announced the Usyk fight 3 weeks ago. That it was signed. So Tyson, in the back of his mind, even though he's got Ngannou in front of him, the Usyk fight signed and already talking about December 23rd. So is that a case of maybe with a few other things that Tyson did take his eye off the ball, overlooking Francis?
Yeah, I think that's what happened. He took his eye off the ball. He's like, this is a sort of exhibition fight sort of thing. You know, I'll take him to the cleaner sort of thing. Like you said, the table tennis champion versus the Wimbledon champion. In my opinion, and many other people's opinion, the table tennis champion should now be the Wimbledon champion. But like you say, that fight with Usyk then wouldn't happen. But I just think that he took his eye off the ball. He thought it was a bit of a gimme fight. Well, it was supposed to be a gimme fight. Supposed to be an easy fight for him and a bit of an exhibition fight. And he's took his eye off the ball. And Ngannou's been training away and doing his due diligence and training really hard to his best of his abilities and give off a really good performance there. So, yeah, I think it's a case of he trained really hard and Tyson didn't train hard. He's just looking past it and get it done and get out of the way. Done the bare minimum of preparations to be fit.
Josh, obviously, as well, when you're talking about the undisputed fight, Usyk got in the ring immediately after it with Tyson. And when I was watching it, I felt deflated and the two of them felt deflated. Has that sort of fight with Ngannou now took a little bit of shine off that heavyweight? It shouldn't have because everyone wants to see an undisputed fight, especially at the heavyweight level. Has that took a little bit of shine off it now?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think it's still the biggest fight in boxing. You know, it's still the fight that everybody wants to see. And I think that's obviously why. Well, maybe not obviously why, but you know, I think, you know, it would have been a big downer on it if Ngannou had got the decision last night. That fight would have been away, and boxing would have been in a bad place then. You know, but I do think, having said that, put all that shit aside, I think that's the biggest fight in boxing, and everybody still wants to see it, myself included. I want to see the fight versus Usyk and Tyson Fury, the best of the best. So, and that's when you'll get the best out of Tyson as well, you know, because Tyson will be up for it, and it'll be the first one to become the undisputed champion. And was it 20 odd years, the heavyweight champion?
6 years or 27 years, I think it is.
Aye, so it's a massive piece of history and a big fight as well. So Tyson will definitely be up for that one, and make sure that he's doing everything in his ability to prepare his best to the best of his. Whereas last night, what you saw last night was someone just being half fit and looking past it and what was happening. That's what I think what happened last night.
Josh, obviously Tyson Fury as well. Well, these crossover fights. That's what I'll ask you. These crossover fights. Where do you sit on them? What's your thoughts on them? These MMA versus boxing, boxing versus YouTube. Obviously, I like boxing versus boxing. I like the fights. I like the Lee Wood versus Warringtons, and I like all them type of fights when you've got two British guys going toe to toe. Do you know what I mean? A Eubank and Liam Smith. Them fights get my juices flowing. But so where do you sit on all these crossover fights? Do you like them? You don't care? What's your thoughts?
I don't know. I mean, it's entertainment at the end of the day. You know, it is entertainment at the end of the day. But all that the misfit stuff, like, I just don't like the whole circus that surrounds it. You know, the way they act, the way they put on this big show and all. I just don't like that at all. That's not what boxing's about. And the boxing itself, in terms of like technical abilities and stuff, that is really, really poor. You know, it's not actual boxing. It's putting a bad light on boxing, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, it is entertainment. They're bringing a lot of eyes to the sport. They bring a lot of audiences that would never sit and watch boxing to it. The YouTube kind of stuff and all that's not for me. But fights like last night, I genuinely watch because Ngannou did really well. He did really well, and again, I know McGregor got carried a little bit by Mayweather, but still he put up a good performance and it was competitive at times. And last night it was competitive, you know. So at least then it's a wee bit of a competitive fight. When this fight got announced, I was thinking, I'm not even bothered watching it because it's not going to be competitive. But it ended up did being competitive because at the end of the day, he is the best in the UFC. He's a combat sports. He's a fighting man. He knows his way around a fight. So at the end of the day, it proved that it was actually a decent fight.
That's it. A lot of people are saying that he's a novice and he's never boxed before. But that being said, when you say that people never boxed before, you're still saying that you're thinking of a guy just walking out from the street. We're talking about a UFC fighter who's won 20 plus fights or whatever it is, 20 fights and 16 knockouts. So the guy already knows how to punch. He knows how to throw a punch, whether it's footwork and whatnot. So one final question on this fight itself. Can Francis Ngannou mix it now in the pro ranks at the heavyweight with all the other guys there?
It's hard to tell, you know. It's hard to tell for that performance, you know. Fury was way below par, but he did hold his own. He held the centre of the ring. He pushed Fury back. He caught him with a couple of good big shots and stuff. I think he can certainly move around and do well. I don't think it would be out of place in rings against other opponents. That's for sure. So why not if he wants to have a go? He certainly proved himself last night. Although it had been a very below par performance on Fury's part, he still had a very good account of himself.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about you then, Josh. I messaged you a couple of weeks ago asking to do an interview, and I mentioned that David Avanesyan had called you out, and you went, "What? Really? I didn't even know that." And then obviously you've got Florian Marku mentioning your name, because I think now the word's out that you might be moving up to 147. So all these guys at 147 are starting. They want a piece of Josh Taylor. They want to have that undisputed scalp on their record. So yeah, what can you tell me? What's happening? Have you been in talks with these guys? What's next for you?
I haven't really heard anything, to be honest, about with David Avanesyan and things like that. I had a little bit of a talk about Florian Marku. Ben Shalom put together some figure, and in all honesty, like, it was a decent number, but in all honesty, it was almost disrespectful, the number that he was saying to me. You know, like, the last time I got paid something like that was right before the Ryan Martin fight. It's like, if you want to get serious about a fight, you've got to you've got to put the numbers up, you know. And it's just at the end of the day, yeah, I understand that coming off a win or coming off a loss, you sort of you don't get paid as much and stuff. But at the end of the day, I still put bums on seats, and that fight with Florian Marku is a big fight. I know how much money there is on the table with that. And Florian Marku is a good fighter. He's doing well. He's making all the right noise. But it's at this point in time, it's what's in it for me apart from having a good name on the record. You know, he's doing well, but he's no boxed anyone. And the figures as well was just borderline sort of disrespectful, really. Because I know for a fact if me and him get on, it'll be a big fight. He's got a big following, I've got a big following, and it'll sell out arenas all over the country because he's got a big fight, you know. But I've not really heard anything apart from that. Really, I've not really heard anything really apart from sort of a rough figure of what is on the table for my next fight, whoever it may be. But I've never really had serious offers, to be fair. I like Florian Marku. He's a good character. He's funny and stuff. And I had to actually learn a wee bit Albanian with all the comments I've been getting on my Instagram. I had to turn the comments off a bit. I was sitting in the living room the other night and I was like, fucking hell, my phone's just going boom, boom, boom. I upgraded my phone and obviously your notifications and that start coming back. Because if I had to turn off all my notifications and that again, all these Albanians are just messaging me and that. So it's just been mental. Aye, but I've not really had any offers, any serious offers, really, to be honest. So for me to get back, like, I'm not going to be fighting for peanuts, Andy. You know, I've had one loss in my career. I'm not going to fight for peanuts. And the fight I want to get back to is a good fight at welterweight, and then get into title contention. Then, you know, so there's no saying at some point down the line me and Marku can get on, definitely, because I think that would be a great fight. But right now, I'm not going to fight for what they're saying and what they're on their terms with what they were offering it's just not viable for myself.
You think they'll come back with a second offer?
I don't know. Let's see. But they need to get serious. That's for sure.
It's a Florian Marku, a David Avanesian, who are pretty known here in the UK because they're based here. Are those the names that you're after for your debut at 147? Are these the sort of big names that you're after?
Absolutely, you know, but like what they're offering is just not financially viable for me at the minute. Absolutely would love a fight with Florian Marku. I think it's a great fight. But down the line, if he keeps winning as well, you know, he's making all the right noise. He's not boxed anybody yet. So there you go. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I'll fight anybody at the right time, but it's got to be right for me, especially right now. It's got to be the right moves and the right figures and stuff as well. So we'll see what happens. We're still talking with a lot of different people, but nothing really has come my way in any serious offers.
Can we see you back in Scotland? Because I was at for big fight nights to come back to Scotland. It's on you, Josh. The pressures, even though when we spoke after the Lopez fight, we spoke about the pressure being off you, of being undefeated, undisputed, The pressure's off now, yeah. But to bring the shows back to Scotland, you are still that fighter to give us that big hydro night. It took Willie Limond and Ricky Burns, two old guys, probably well into the tail end of their careers, to get a fight together to put on a big show here in Scotland. So that being said, the pressure is still on you to bring these nights back to Scotland. So will we see your next fight here in Scotland?
Hopefully. So, really, I mean, the last fight shouldn't have been in New York, but I took it anyway because, you know, when was I ever going to get the opportunity to box in Madison Square Gardens again? You know, so I took it with both hands to go over there and sort of try and emulate what Ken Buchanan done again and stuff like that. So and make history again. Obviously, it wasn't to be on the night, but yeah, like I put bums on seats, you know, and it doesn't matter whether I'm fighting, whether you're coming to watch me win, whether you're coming to watch me get beat. I put bums on seats, and I'm always in a good fight. I'm always in a good, entertaining fight, that's for sure. So, yeah, the next fight, hopefully in Glasgow, and then we'll see what happens with the next ones.
January, February?
Early next year. We've not got any dates properly lined up yet, but early next year, I'm looking to get out nice and early as possible. I want to try and box 2 or 3 times next year. You know, Andrew, it's been a crap couple of years in terms of activity-wise for me. You know, I was on a great roll leading up, well, just after the Progress fight, leading up to the Progress fight, fighting regularly and fighting good. Then after the Progress fight, everything just come crashing to a halt. You know, I think I fought 3 times in 3 years, which is it's just not enough. And the peak of my career as well, you know, and it's been pretty frustrating. But this year I want to get back to it, activity, ring activity, and keep him busy. That's what I want to do this year. Hopefully box 3 times.
Well, I've got to ask, because like I say, I was down in Liverpool last week, the Jack Catterall Linares fight. You had a few words to say on Twitter, and Eddie Hearn, every time I spoke to Eddie that fight week, he seemed very, very keen to make that rematch. He understands that it ain't going to be at 140. He knows that you've outgrown that weight. He said it might be at a catch weight. Would you accept the catch weight, or will it have to be at 147? And that Jack Catterall rematch is always going to be there. Your names are always going to be together. How much do you want that fight?
Oh, absolutely want the fight. You know, absolutely want that fight right now. It has to happen again. It has to happen again. You know, because there's so much bad blood between myself and him now. Things have been said after the fight, so we've got a score to settle. You know, and I want to shut him up. You know, and put him back in his place. So, but right now he's on his own path. I'm on my own path. We'll see what happens. But listen, if the fight's there, we'll take it. But I'm wanting to become a 2-weight world champion right now. He's wanting to become world champion and stuff as well. But that fight is always there, whether it's now, whether it's 6 months, whether it's next year. It's always there, and it's a big fight, that's for sure.
What did you make of his performance against Linares? Obviously, Linares is a legend in the ring, 3-weight world champion, been in there with guys like Lomachenko, Devin Haney, and whatnot. So obviously, Jack got the win against Linares. He's looking at the winner of maybe Prograis and Haney. You fought Prograis. Probably a 2-part to this question. How do you think he fares against guys like Haney and Prograis? And I'll probably put a second question on the end of this: is who wins against Haney and Prograis? You, like I said, you've shared the ring with Prograis. You know how good he is. So 2 parts to that question.
Well, Haney and Prograis fight's a great fight. We're going off last performances. I would edge towards Haney, to be honest. I saw Prograis' last one. He didn't look too great in his last performance. Haney, I thought, was great in his last performance, although sort of I'd say it was a controversial decision. I thought he just nicked it, to be fair. But with all that controversy around it and stuff as well, it was still a good performance from him. I thought he boxed really well. I thought he was really sharp, very highly skilled and intelligent in performance from Haney. Going on the 2 last performances, I would edge towards Haney on that one. But having said that, they're both brilliant fighters, and it would be an exciting fight. I'll definitely be up for that one.
And Jack, obviously, he's looking at the winner. How does he fare against those 2 guys? Because they are pound for pound up there, aren't they? They play Haney and Prograis.
I think he gets anywhere near the 2 of them. I don't think he gets anywhere near Haney. He might have a bit more success with Prograis. Prograis a little bit more aggressive and stuff like that. But nah, I don't think he beats any of the 2 of them, to be honest. I thought he did well against Linares the other night. To be fair, he boxed well. He controlled the fight, and he did what he needed to do. He got the job done. He kept it boring and simple, but he got the job done.
Well, that's it. A win's a win, but you want to be a 2-weight world champion, and with Terence Crawford undisputed at that weight, he's obviously looking. I don't know what his options are right now. He's talking about Canelo fight at 168, 154 with Charlo. He might even vacate all them belts, Josh. And that being said, being undisputed at 140, you're probably only 2 fights away, 2 good fights away, if he does vacate, for winning that world title again. I know you went on your Instagram and you put something. What was it? 2-weight, 5-time world champion, uploading or pending or whatever it was. How much does that mean to you right now at this stage of your career to get that 2-weight and 5-time world champion status on your name?
These kind of fights that keep the motivation and the hunger and the desire burning. Do you know what I mean? Like something to chase, something to get, something to achieve. You know, there's not many people that have done that. You know, so for me, I've achieved everything at 140 now. You know, I achieved, I conquered it. I beat everybody on the way there. You know, Postal, the only defeat was to Crawford, then on to Baranchek, then Prograis, then Ramirez. Do you know what I mean? It's like I beat everybody at the weight. So in terms of achievement-wise, there's nothing for left and right to achieve at 140, and goals and something to chase. So now it's to move up to welterweight and hopefully become a 2-weight world champion. And hopefully, you know, we're sort of a bit of luck on my side. Maybe Terence Crawford sort of vacates, moves up, and these belts become vacant, and I'm in a good position in the rankings at welterweight to hopefully get a vacant title fight. You know what I mean? Against another good fighter in there, somebody like what's his name? Who just beat Rocha, Santian and stuff like that. Yeah. But he looked like a bit of a beast, and I think that would be a great fight. You know, it would be all action. There are two styles for a vacant title. You know, that these are the kind of fights that keep the desire burning and stuff. So I absolutely want to become a 2-weight world champion. Absolutely.
The thing is that welterweight division has always been a dangerous division, Josh. It's always been one of them divisions where throughout the decades with Floyd Mayweather, Pacquiao, Sugar Ray Leonard, do you know what I mean? It's one of them that's always been stacked with talent and dangerous with talent. You've got guys like Jerome Ennis in there, Virgil Ortiz in there. Do you know what I mean? And all these guys that you're talking about. Was it Giovanni? What's his name? Santillan? Is it Santillan?
Santillan. Alexis Rocha. I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago now. Right. What a fight, you know. And Alexis Rocha is a very good opponent as well. You know, I used him for sparring before the Prograis fight, gave me some great work. And, you know, I was expecting that to be a little bit more competitive, but Santian was just looked like a monster in that fight, man. He was brilliant. So, these are the kind of fights that get the excitement going. Do you know what I mean?
That's it. And obviously, I got to mention it because your name has been mentioned, and I've talked about all these British dust-ups, and everyone likes like, oh, British dust-up. Now, we all know that Jack Catterall fight's always going to be there. You both want it. You both don't like each other, and the bad blood and the build-up's going to, like Eddie Hearn in his own words said, I can't wait for the build-up for that fight. So that's always going to be there. But Conor Benn, you've been mentioned.
The build-up's obviously to be on me. They're obviously relying on me for the build-up because Jack wouldn't say booty a ghost. Do you know what I mean? So that's the build-up. They're wanting to try and wind me up on that one, aren't they? So I know what their game is already with that one.
Can I ask, Josh, what do you think of Jack as a fighter? Do you know what I mean? Obviously, as a fighter yourself, you know, there's always that thing, once you fight somebody, you get the respect of a fighter once you've been inside the ring with them. So what do you, I know outside of the ring, you probably don't like Jack as much, but what do you think of him as a fighter?
Listen, I could sit here and say a lot of things about him and a lot of things that I don't like about him and all his style and all that, but I'm not going to bother. You know, I think he is what he is. He's effective at what he does, which is slowing the fight down and being a bit of a spoiler, really. He's very good at doing that. You know, in terms of a person, I don't really know him as a person to say he's a dick or that, but the things he's said, I don't like him for at the minute, you know. So, but it's a guy that I wouldn't sit and go for a pint for, that's for sure. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to sit and go, do you want to go for a pint, Jack? Do you know what I mean? Like what I do with everybody else. That's just not going to happen. But, you know, he is what he is. He's good at what he does in terms of slowing paces down and being a bit of a spoiler. He's good at that. But I'm not going to sit here and badmouth him, and that's not my style.
A couple more then, Josh. Obviously, your name has also been tagged alongside, and Eddie Hearn again mentioned this fight for you as Conor Benn. Before this Eubank Jr. fight was getting made, your name was mentioned in there for a fight with Conor. So your name is always going to be mentioned when it comes to big fights, Josh. And Conor Benn and you is a big fight domestically as well. So might not happen anytime soon, but obviously a fight you would welcome, no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, he's had a few things to say as well over the course of the last few months or whatever. You know, me and him had a wee bit of a back and forth on Instagram. He said something, he must have saw something on an interview that I said about all the fiasco with him, you know, the clomiphene thing and all that, you know, and then he just went on one at me being cheeky and mouthy and all that, you know. But at the end of the day, he started saying that I've got 2 L's on my record and all that, blah blah blah. But so is he. Lawyers and loopholes, you know. So that's what he's got, and that's all I'll say on the matter. But yeah, I actually quite like Conor as a person. I've met him a few times, spoke to him a few times. You know, we had the same sort of S&C coach for a while when I was down at Ben's gym, and Dan Lawrence. So I met him a few times and stuff like that. Even before that, and spoke to him, and I quite like him as a person, to be honest. So, but all that stuff surrounding that was just mental, wasn't it? And it was a very bad look, and that's all I'll say on the matter. But no, I think a fight with me and him down the line would be big as well, because he's going to talk some Turkey and I'm going to talk some Turkey, and just going to wind each other up and play the game and build it up into a big fight. So I actually quite like Conor, and but at the end of the day, I think it would be a great fight.
Josh, one final one then. Obviously, we're all excited, especially your Scottish boxing fans. We're all excited for your return, and we all wanted to be back in Scotland. But in your own words as well, you probably admit this yourself, your last two performances haven't been your best. And when we look at you, we think of the Prograis fight, the Baranchik fight, the Ryan Martin fight, the Postal fight, even all these fights where you were on it. Can we see that Josh back on your next one?
Absolutely. I mean, I started the Lopez fight off great. I started off great. I came back after, I think it was the second round or the third round. I went to Josh. He's doing everything that we prepared for, and everything more. I could see it. And then I came back after the fourth, and I was like, man, my legs are away. Like, my legs were away, and I went 8 rounds with fucking no legs. But I still thought it was a close-ish fight. It was. I thought I still nicked about 5 of the rounds. I definitely won the first 3, 4, of the first 3 anyway. And then I thought I won one later on in the round, and I won the 10th. And I thought, right, man, if I can get these last 2 rounds, I can hold on to my belt here. But I had nothing left. I went out in the 11th, and I was like, after about a minute, I was like, I've got nothing left. I've literally had nothing left in my legs. I could see the shots that were coming, but I just couldn't get out of the way. My legs wouldn't let me get out of the way. I was fuck. So I was disappointed with the performance, and my legs let me down, so it is what it is. I do believe that at my best, I can beat Teofimo Lopez, and it's just, that is what it is. But he was better than me on the night, and it is what it is. That's it. But yeah, I've had 2 sort of back-to-back not great performances. But yeah, I'll be back to the top. I'll be back to being a world champion again, that's for sure. Doesn't matter who else may not believe it, but I believe it, and that's all that matters. Nobody ever thought I would be a world champion. I believe I would be a world champion, so that's all that matters. And when I'm winning the world championship again, everybody will be like, well done, Josh, again. So I look forward to becoming a 2-weight world champion.
Well, Josh, have you got anything else you'd like to add? I think we've covered all bases there. Yeah, is there anything you'd like to add?
Nah, mate, just that's it, mate. Go and enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and I'm going to go and do a couple of things in here and get things sorted. And that's it, mate.
Right,
have a good one.
Are we game of pool by yourself? Are we game of killer by yourself, maybe?
Need to practice the darts. I'm all right at pool. I need to practice the darts. I'm not very good at the darts.
You love the darts, though, Josh. I've seen you when it comes to the New Year and Christmas time when the darts are on, man. You're always posting about it, man.
Oh, it's brilliant. I love the darts. It's amazing. But I need to get better at it. I'm not very good at it at all.
Maybe that's a new career once you retire from boxing, mate. Get onto the dart scene.
No, I end up with a big beard belly like that.
Listen, Josh, I appreciate your time as always. But one word on Aston, because I want to get Aston a good fight. And me and your good pals with Aston. I'll do interviews with Aston to try and keep his name out there, but we need to get Aston a good fight because he seems to be a gym rat nowadays. He's in living, breathing the sport after a long layoff. So yeah, shout out to Aston.
Yeah, absolutely. Aston Brown is obviously he's one of my very best mates. Been all over the world with him as an amateur boxer, went to the Commonwealth Games, World Europeans and all that. And he's got a wealthy experience. It's well documented that he sort of went off the rails a little bit for a while, had a bit of a bad time for a few years, but he's back now, and he's back and doing well, and he's living in the gym. He's turned his life around, and he's trying to get a fight. And a lot of these fighters, they don't want to give him the chance because they know he's dangerous. They know that he's got that wealthy experience. And I do believe that he gives them all nightmares in the middleweight division, and he needs to get a good fight. So hopefully someone gives him an opportunity this year. Maybe not this year, but maybe later on he gets a fight before the end of the year, and next year hopefully gets an opportunity to showcase some skills against a good live opponent. He's had a couple of fights back now, but it's opponents that haven't been coming to win, so he's not been able to really show his talent. It's hard to look good against someone that's not coming to win, you know. So he needs someone in there that's coming to win, and a good high level opponent, and that's when you're going to see the best of Aston Brown, and you're going to see a good fighter in him, and hopefully next year he can win a title, you know, one of these domestic titles, a British or a Commonwealth title, and push on to some big fights. And I'd love to see it. He's one of my best mates, so I'd really love to see it.
Yes, I echo that as well, Josh. And listen, fingers crossed for you as well. And that two-weight world champion, I think we're all rooting for you. Excuse me, all in Scotland anyway. And listen, always a pleasure to speak to you, mate. Like I say, enjoy your rest of your Sunday as well. And hopefully I'll catch up with you very, very soon.
Well do, Andy. Speak to you soon, mate.
Thank you,
Cheers.
brother. Cheers, Josh.